Good night, and welcome to another episode of Water for the Thirsty, the word simply, the word refreshing. My name is Jared. I'm the facilitator of the conversation, and with me tonight, for right now at least, is Jerry from Far Far Away.
hmm
Jerry, how's the week been?
Hectic but good.
All right. And how's the reading been treating you?
Not as good as it should, but
Uh,
let me rephrase that. I'm not treating the reading as good as I should, but
oh, yeah, yeah.
still was
Um,
able to pick up on a couple of things that I thought compelling.
all right. Well, I'm interested in hearing them. Hopefully, you wrote it down and you're not trying to call it from memory. My
if,
father
if I
introduced me to CRS.
yeah.
I didn't know what CRS was, but I well I didn't know the term before he
Mm,
introduced me to it, and so now I'm familiar with CRS, and I think I occasionally suffer from that. So
yeah, man. If I don't make a note now, yeah, I kind of feel like what was that little character from Finding Nemo? Dory?
mm.
Yeah. Before I blink, it's like, what was I? You ever walked
Yeah.
into a room and knowing what you wanted to ask someone or say to someone, and then you get in the room and it's like,
Why am
wait a
I here?
minute. Yeah, 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 yeah,
No, I wanted to say
yeah. That we
something.
at that age and stage. Well, at least I am. So
See, this
let me
is
not label anybody else.
my
Bro,
lord.
okay. Come on now. Come on. All right.
So to remind myself, because what has happened to me in the past, Jerry, is I have gone into the word, saw something, highlighted it, thinking when I see it again, I'll remember what stood out to me about this passage. And then when I see it again, I'm
I
like,
said, why did I highlight this? What was
it was
yeah.
really profound. I don't remember it anymore. So now I have to write it down right away, or else it won't stick. So.
My cheat code for that sometimes is I'll do a voice note.
Mm.
And then, of course, because of the transcription feature, I could just put that copy and paste it into something and be like, right. Then
But what
sometimes I
what
even
is
forget to
transcription?
do the voice note. Yeah.
I have to look
The
into
voice
that.
notes you make now, you just click on the little icon and you'll see the transcript of the right. It's funny when it tries to transcribe the nuances of the Trini accent, but as a whole other
Oh,
conversation, right?
hey Mezzo, how you doing? Good to have you. Good to have you.
For sure, for sure.
All right. We'll talk to me, Jerry. Where we
So
at today?
one of the things that stood out to me, because I was doing a little comparing and contrasting, right? Not just from the reading, but even with some of the stuff I was looking at uh, in understanding the Hebrew. Um, it's interesting to me how quickly God can deliver us from. Hey, what up, Courtney?
What's up?
What's up?
It's interesting how quickly God can deliver us by providing a way of escape, and so we actually led into somewhere safe, protected from danger, all of that, as opposed to when we practice what I will consider escapism, right? We try to get ourselves out of the situation and just end up in a different type of bondage. And I kind of feel like that's a play and counterplay when you look at the children of Israel in the wilderness. God delivers them and in short order gets them to the border of the promised land. Men go in and the majority of them are like, yeah, we can't even take this land, it's and then they proceed to practice escapism. It's like we're hungry. What is gonna get us relief the fastest? Maybe quail or leeks or onions, whatever, right? They wanna spin around in bondage. And it was just like on repeat for what, an entire generation until all but two of them died out.
Yeah.
So I was interested in dissecting that a bit more. God's way of escape versus our escapism.
So I had something along those same lines. So if we dissect it, I will just add on. I feel like sometimes we don't see his escape as such because we think we
Mm.
have a definition of escape that that does that he doesn't share, or he has a different objective with escape than we do.
Yeah.
Because like their escape was to the wilderness, right? But the wilderness was not comfortable at all. And so I would think that maybe there was an expectation on their part that escape would have a certain level of
Ease.
well, yeah, comfort, ease, yeah. It wouldn't be it wouldn't appear to be an equally challenging circumstance. Equally challenging circumstance is not escape, that's more problems. You're just changing the problems from one problem to the next. Right?
At least by their interpretation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I was in slavery, I was being beaten, I was being mistreated. I got rescued out of that, and now I'm living on my own and my own people. But now we don't have any water, we don't have any growing food, we don't know how we're going to survive. We switch one set of problems for the next. And I think it's I started to believe it's just a perspective thing. In that we don't define or we don't share the same expectations that God has for anything. That's one. And two, he has other objectives. And so he does not see, and because he has a problem solving machine, he wouldn't see the wilderness as being problematic, because the things that you were concerned about, I already have provision for. Like, you're gonna get food,
100%.
you're gonna get water. So
close going with you.
When you're out here now, nobody is messing with you, right?
Yeah.
I think it became really profound for me when Deuteronomy chapter, I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 8, when I started, when I first started adjusting the perspective of the situation. You know, this forced me to think about the situations differently. We could go there, Courtney. I'm gonna let you read from verse 2. I guess we could start from verse 1, but it's more fun to skip to verse 2.
Okay.
Deuteronomy chapter 8. We're going up to verse 5.
All right. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah.
All right. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way? He guided you in the desert for these 40 years. He wanted to take your pride away. He wanted to test you to know what was in your hearts. He wanted to see whether you would obey his commands. He took your pride away. He let you go hungry. Then he gave you manna to eat. You and your parents had never known anything about manna before. He tested you to teach you that man doesn't live only on bread. He also lives on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Your clothes didn't wear out during these 40 years. Your feet didn't swell. Here is what I want you to know in your hearts. The Lord your God guides you just as parents guide their children.
Man.
Obey the commands of the Lord your God. Live as he wants you to live. Have respect for him. The Lord your God is bringing you into a good land. It has brooks, streams, and deep springs of water. Those springs flow in its valleys and hills. It has wheat, barley, vines, figs, trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey. There's plenty of food in that land. You will have everything you need. Its rocks have iron in them, and you can dig copper out of its hills.
You can pause there. We just wanted to go up to 5.
Okay.
But one of the most profound statements for me was that perspective shift of 40 years and your clothes didn't wear out.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever stopped to wait. But for real, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Walking around the desert for 40 years, no swollen feet, and my shoes still.
Shoes growing with you, not wearing out. Clothes growing with you, not wearing out.
Right? That's the kind of perspective adjustment that we don't realize. And sometimes when we give attention to the difficulties, it's really about where you direct your attention. When you give yourself to the difficulties, you miss what God is doing or what the circumstance is and the blessing of the wilderness. right? In the wilderness, nobody else ain't coming out here to bother you. So you have privacy. You get a chance to, you have space. Nobody's attacking you. You're not on the, and so it's really just a prioritization and perspective thing. I think about it makes me think about Peter and Jesus telling him, you don't have in mind the concerns of God, but the concerns of man. And
Yeah.
concerns of man is really just self-comfort and you know and not they didn't leave Egypt to be tested in their hearts to know what was in their heart. Like that wasn't, please, really, why? As this is necessary. You promised to take me from here to there. Just put me in the fancy land with the new house and the honey and thing that you promised me. Like,
Yeah.
why is all this necessary?
I saw an indicator of why he took the path he did, right? Because to my mind, the wilderness really was about their development. So I'm taking you out of bondage to put you in development for what comes next. Because what comes next was land flowing with milk and honey, all these other things. But sometimes if you think not having the thing you're asking God for is pressure, the real pressure comes when you get the thing that you were asking God for.
And you ain't ready for it.
So even in the promised land, you had, giants you had to fight. You had, be it external giants or even the internal giants of your own disobedience, your own greed, because you realize every time they faced a problem or a situation they didn't like, they would run to some kind of relief rather than waiting for God to deliver them. So Moses is up on the mountain talking to God. We haven't seen him in a bit. I'll make a golden calf, have a little carnival ramage and call it a day because and you saw that pattern over until he gets to the point where he's like, you know what, your kids will inherit the land because you're like
yeah, because we don't see it as relational and we don't trust the man because we don't really know the man.
Relational. Yep.
And we don't know the man, we don't trust the man, and we feel like we know better, and we don't have the same priorities. Like he is saying, hey, this thing I promised to give you requires you to be able to deal with it. In order for you to be able to deal with it, I have to take you here. Trust me that I know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you ready for this thing I want to
do. Expert, not you, right?
Right? Just, and these other things you're concerned about, that's small. For me, that's small thing. Let me just study that. Don't worry about where we went and sit down. Right? I just need you to make sure you bring your sneakers. Right? Because I know what they have over there. So it's like we like children who you're trying to surprise them and they only have 1,000,001 questions. You're trying to take them on
show up and I'll do the rest. Yeah.
And follow my instructions. I tell you, pack your bag. You ain't pack your bag yet. You ain't pack your bag yet. And I tell you what to put in your bag. Because I know you're gonna need a towel, you're gonna need your goggles.
Yeah, swim cap, whatever. Yeah. Somebody said, if you focus on what's there, if you focus on the problem, you'll be blind to all the solutions. If you focus on solutions, you might just become a little blind to the problems, right? And I feel like that was that perspective, just focusing completely on the
I would go a step up on that, Jerry, and say, if you focus on the problems and not the God who is present. And I say it like that because I remember, Courtney, I don't even remember I was wrestling with, is God's presence enough? Remember when I asked that when we was talking about Joseph, and the Bible says God was with him in the prison. And I was like, yeah, well, what do I mean? What is this? I'm still in prison, right? Like, what value is this to me, right? And you see, Joseph's brothers did him dirty. So we go and acknowledge that, right? They did him dirty. And he ended up in Egypt. But God was with him. And the Bible makes a point to say that, right? And while he was there, he wasn't where he wanted to be. He was in a difficult circumstance. He was a slave, even though he was empowered, but God was with him. he was serving faithfully. So like, all right, he settled into his new experience. Potiphar's wife come and do his thing, and he ended up in the jail under the house. Right?
Yep.
And the Bible says, but God was with him. And I'm like, yo, I'm in the jail under the house. What value is God being with me? What are doing for me? Because I still here. And I didn't deserve to be here. My brothers do me dirty. This woman do me dirty. You know, how important, how significant is God? So I remember wrestling with that. And then when the dreams came, Joseph was like, hey, when you go out there, you know,
Look out for me.
look out for me. And it meant for game for 2 years. So he had to sit there for 2 more years. And I'm like, I felt like in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe he wasn't ready for the next thing, but what it is that he needed to be ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not till the end of Genesis. So let's go there to Genesis chapter 50. It's at the very end of Genesis, and I've read it before, but I didn't see it till this time. Very end of Genesis, where Jacob dies, Joseph and the brothers bury him, and then the brothers start to panic, right? So go from
15? No.
Yeah. 50-15. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers were worried. They said, remember all the bad things we did to Joseph? What if he decides to hold those things against us? What if he pays us back for them? So they sent a message to Joseph. They said, your father gave us directions before he died. He said, here's what you must say to Joseph. Tell him, I'm asking you to forgive your brothers. Forgive the terrible things they did to you. Forgive them for treating you so badly. Now then, please forgive our sins. We served the God of your father. When their message came to Joseph, he wept. Then his brothers came and threw themselves down in front of him. We are your slaves, they said. But Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Do you think I'm God? You planned to harm me, but God planned it for good. He planned to do what is now being done. He wanted to save many lives. So then, don't be afraid. I'll provide for you and your children. He calmed their fears and he spoke in a kind way to them.
Good. I didn't see it on its face, right? Because I've read this before, I didn't see it on its face. It was in the reading of Acts this week that this all of a sudden, became bright. So I'm gonna before I share it, the connection. Let's go to Acts. I think it's Acts chapter 11. Acts chapter 11. Acts chapter 11. And verse 19.
Okay.
19 to 23.
Some believers had been scattered by the suffering that unbelievers had caused them. They were scattered after Stephen was killed. Those believers traveled as far as Phoenicia, Cyprus, and Antioch, but they spread the word only among Jews. Some believers from Cyprus and Cyrene went to Antioch. There they began to speak to Greeks also. They told them the good news about the Lord Jesus. The Lord's power was with them, and large numbers of people believed and turned to the Lord. The church in Jerusalem heard about this, so they sent Barnabas to Antioch. When he arrived and saw that the grace of God had been done, he was glad, and he told them all to remain true to the Lord with their hearts.
When the focus is on the troubles, the perspective is skewed. When the focus is on the God, you get to see, and his priorities, you get to see what he's doing. Right? And I think Joseph eventually got to the place of his focus became on what God is doing. And so he was not given his circumstance as much priority. And that's what he needed the extra 2 years to do. Right? That's my thought anyway. Because when he was in Potiphar's house, he was, man, them fellas treat me so bad. I'm a slave here.
Woe is me.
Because the circumstance is bad.
Yeah.
but God was with him, and he wasn't paying attention to. I mean, he was paying attention to it because he knows, like, all right, it's not as bad as it could be, I guess. But it was still a case of, I need to get out of this circumstance because I was done wrong, right? And then when Potiphar's wife set him in the prison, that's exactly what he said to the thing. I need to get out of this circumstance because I was done wrong. That's what he said to the guys as they were leaving. Like, remember me because I'm a Hebrew, I'm a slave. I was, the lady lie on me. I'm not supposed to be here. My circumstance is bad. By the time he gets to the end here, he's like, this circumstance was bad because God was trying to save all these people.
Yeah. And he used the whole.
So it's not that they mistreated me, which they did, but God leveraged their mistreatment to bless all these other people. So now I don't, even though what they did is true and bad and wrong, I don't, he said, God planned it. You planned harm for me, but God planned it for good. He then shifts his perspective away from the circumstance to the God
who's with him.
Same thing in Acts. These people think they're being persecuted. God is saying, y'all need to move out of here. Y'all need to scatter for this message to spread. And right now, you're congregating in one place. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let these people who don't like you push you out, because the pushing out is what will spread the message. So you thinking persecution, God thinking spreading. And when I think we adjust our perspectives to what is God doing here, we don't give as much credence to the difficult circumstances that he's using to facilitate it, right? And there's a different kind of peace that comes when you are settled in, oh, this is how God is advancing this cause. Oh, okay. That means he's here with us. Oh, okay. Which means he's going to take care of us. Oh, okay. Go back now to the Israelites. It was it's a verse in Revelation. I think it's Revelation 12. Let me go there right quick. Yeah. Revelation 12. Courtney, 1 to 6.
A great sign appeared in heaven. It was a woman wearing the sun like clothes. The moon was under her feet, and her head, on her head, she wore a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant. She cried out in pain because she was about to have a baby. Then another sign appeared in heaven, and it was a huge red dragon. It had 7 heads and 10 horns, and on its 7 heads it wore 7 crowns. The dragon's tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky. It threw the stars down to earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to have a baby. The dragon waited to eat her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son. He will rule all the nations with an iron scepter, and her child was taken up to God and to his throne. The woman escaped into the desert where God had a place prepared for her. There she would be taken care of for 1,260 days.
That's it. She was taken to the desert to be cared for. To be cared for in the desert.
Yeah.
That's a perspective shift. How is that caring?
Yeah. Well, no, because to your point, they're looking at the desert, the wilderness as another problem. And God is saying, no, this is the place you're safe so I can operate on you and develop you. It's interesting. In the Hebrew, the word we would derive problem from means to push forward or to elevate.
Oh, wow.
So literally God is saying to move you forward or elevate you, I need to give you problems. Because it's about developing you to carry because you realize that's what generally happens, right? It's not that he moves the problem, he just gives you the strength to be able to And the parallel they drew is that, I think I shared this with you all before, blessing is like this heavy backpack made of camel skin, right? And so I have to develop the strong shoulders, the character to carry the blessing. So I'm making you stronger with the problem so you wouldn't be crushed by the blessing to come.
Yeah.
And you saw where they get blessed and then they spaz out, right?
How wicked
Like
would it be for me to bless you without, to give you this big heavy backpack of blessing without training you to carry it?
Yeah. What was that text? Is it where he says he will not put on a man more than is right, lest he make that man enter into judgment? So it's like, I want to bless you with something, but if I give it to you and you're not ready, it's like I'm setting you up, right? I'm causing you to.
Yeah, that's interesting. I heard that from somewhere else, not even from the scripture this week. Just talking about God not giving you what you want. He'll give you, or essentially he's gonna give it to you when you're ready for it. So it's probably whenever that point is, you probably don't even have the same desire for it that it like as it was before. But he waited till you were ready for it. Like,
yeah.
Which
And sometimes
sucks while you're in it, right? Because you're complaining like, and I mean, I'm speaking even from my own experience, the things I've been asking him for, and I'm like, bro, it's like, I'm ready already.
yeah.
And sometimes you swear it's like he's just like kind of nonchalant, dismissive. You're pulling on the hem of his garment, and he's like,
yeah. As Peter, Lord, I will go and die for you. Jesus like, boy, before tomorrow, the sun ain't even rise before you will say you don't know me. You ready? It's all right. When you reach, when you come back around, strengthen your brothers. Don't worry. I believe in you.
And maybe that is part of it. The process that we're avoiding, that we don't like, that we see as problematic or painful. How we conduct ourselves through the process is the thing that will help strengthen the brethren. Because I've seen situations where you're in a difficult circumstance. By the grace of God, you carry that circumstance by grace, and other people are like, you a church boy or something, you a believer or something, because the way you're dealing with this, if it was me, I would have crashed out, right?
Yeah.
So back to where you were earlier, Jerry, I think in addition to the perspectives, we are not motivated to just be in relationship with God through our circumstances. We want to be in relationship with God to get outcomes in our circumstances.
Wow.
Right? And so and think about Joseph, right? God was with him in the whole thing, but he wanted relief.
Yeah, more than anything else.
He wanted his brothers to pay for, well, I would assume he wanted his brothers to pay, but he felt his brothers wronged him. And he felt he needed to get out of this situation because his brothers wronged him. And God is saying, yes, your brothers wronged you. And yes, I understand you want to get out of the situation, but I work in something else that I need you ready for. I need you to trust and rely on me. Because if we don't have this rapport, this next thing that come in will not just cost you, but it will cost the lives of all these other people that I care for. Right? So I need you to trust me. Right? That is the priority here. Right? And when he came out of the jail, he was content. The Bible doesn't actually say, but what the Bible does say suggests that by the time he came out, he was content in his relationship with God to just be where God is and trust God to deal with him. So that when he's now elevated, he's not spiteful now, right? Because had he come out of jail looking for vengeance on his brothers, he would have never seen his father alive.
Yeah.
God wouldn't have been able to answer that prayer. So he needed to, and so what we don't often realize is God is working your brothers, he's working you, he's working the Pharaoh, he's working the people of Egypt, all at the same time. Right? And when he decides to engage us, to use us for big works, it's not just for me. It's for me and my relationship with him, but it's also for all these other people, for good or for evil. Because imagine that he counted on Joseph's brothers to get Joseph a meal ticket to Egypt. He counted on the Pharaoh, the Potiphar's wife, to get Joseph in a certain space. Because if Joseph don't end up in the prison with a baker, does he get before the Pharaoh? Maybe not. Maybe God finds another way. But whatever it is God is doing, whatever it is he's doing, it involved all these people for the good of other people, for the good of his name. And when Joseph comes to the end, he's like, this is God's working, not, I see beyond your misdeed to what God is doing. That gives me peace.
Yeah.
But if I'm focused on your misgiving, or if I'm focused, so that's why all these circumstances are the same, right? If I'm focused on the wrong that somebody did me, Joseph, or the discomfort of my circumstance, Israelites, or the persecution of us for our faith, Acts, I miss what God is doing. Because God is working here. He's the main character in the story, not the persecutor and not the wilderness. They are backdrops to his working. And so my challenge now is relationship with him that allows me to trust him so that he could work.
Regardless of the backdrop. I like how you put that.
But not paying attention to the backdrop, or giving the backdrop too much weight, or just seeing the backdrop as a tool for whatever it is he's trying to accomplish.
Because if I can only trust him when the backdrop to me is positive and beneficial and it's all hunky-dory, that's not really trust.
And what am I trusting him for? Am I trusting him, or am I looking for just the outcomes of being in a relationship with him?
It's almost like, if it's the outcomes, then it's like you're treating God like a genie or a sugar daddy. As long as you're taking care of this, that, and the third, we good. And if that ain't coming my way.
Bob Marley saying, "Is this love? We'll share the same room, my single bed."
Yeah.
It don't matter where we are, as long as we together. That's what Bob Marley's saying in that song, right?
Right.
But that's what God looking for from us, right? He's looking for the relationship, because that's the thing that he matters to him, that value to him. All them other things he could heal, he could bless, he could bring water from a rock, he could bring manna down on the ground. He can't get you to trust him without your partnership. That's something he's handed to us for us to. That's the part that requires your participation, input, output, inclusion. And that's where the priority is. Because that's what ticked him off with the people. He's like, how long? You go back to Numbers, right? I think it's Numbers 50. How long will these people hold me in contempt after I've done bless them these 10 times?
Yep.
Why will they still regard me like if I here to teach them malice? Like, why would malice be the thing that you think of me right now? Why would you think of me like that? I brought you out of Egypt. You really think I bring you here to kill you in the wilderness? Really? That's what you think about me? Those are relational words. That's someone who's being spurned. And And I don't
And
know
we
if
doing the
that,
same thing now, right?
yeah, because he's so abstract. He's not. I could say for me, it took me a long time for him to be a person with feelings that wants to be in relationship. Like I could visualize relationship with a distant father, a distant girlfriend, a distant child. But God is just this abstract thing that I need to be nice to because he has power over me, and it's probably the best thing for my life, right? It's the wisest decision I have is to be faithful to God. It's good for it is a wise decision. It's good for me. Not, man, I really like that dude. I like, that's my people, that's a whole different, it took me a long time to see him like that. And I don't know what to do to help people move him out of abstract and into real personal relational.
So that those readings coupled with I'm going through this book now, The God Shaped Brain, um, which speaks to the misconceptions, the outright lies most of us are either taught or tell ourselves about the type of God we serve. And based on what that lie looks like, it's not a God you'd want to be in a relationship with, right? The old, like in Tom and Jerry, where, the minute you act out of whack, out of line, God is just there with this lightning bolt waiting to. And so you see, the parallel in my mind was you see, even with the children of Israel, this idea of who God is, because he bring us out of Egypt to kill us in the wilderness. It's counterintuitive, right? But because we can't relinquish what our idea of peace and safety and good looks like, we can't even see, we can't shift perspective to understand, oh, wait, no, this is really for our.
But here's the hard part, right? He says it like very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing you out so that you could be my special people, right? And I'm going to take you into this land, right?
Yeah.
I need you to trust me first, though.
Yeah.
I think even the one verse that we read, Deuteronomy 8, Moses says, so that when you go in the land and you get the thing, you don't forget.
God who 100%.
Because that's easy to happen. Or he says to them, hey, when you go there, don't let them people live. And he don't just say don't let them live. He said, don't let them live. Don't let them live among you, because you'll be enticed and entrapped to follow their ways. Mm-hmm. So get rid of them and save yourself that headache.
Yeah.
Like, he was explicit, like, I'm entering into this covenant relationship with you. I'll be your God, you'll be my people. These will be the expectations. I tell you what to do, you do it, and I'm a protect you, provide for you, bless you. Like he spells it out. Like, I'll bless you all, because I shouldn't say bless you, because when you say bless you, we in English just use that singular. That was the other thing that I noticed, is that this covenant was with the people, not with the persons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think the more I look at that, because I know we spoke about that, he's always the God of community, right? Because he's showing you the Godhead operates in community. We made in his image and likeness. And I think by the blessing being on the community, it's like God reminding you that it's not about you. And if you make it about you, if you keep looking for the rewards just for you, yeah, you'll miss the point.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is, if there are things we say and do, things that God does through us to benefit others, and we know it, that is way more satisfying than just, oh, look, I got some new shiny thing just for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, this the last thought I have here related to this is focus on God, not your circumstance, not your antagonist. Focus on him and his concerns. that is where the peace comes. You think about Isaiah 26:3. Um, he'll keep in perfect peace those whose hearts are stayed on him
Mhm.
because they trust him. Before, my emphasis used to be on the mind, state, and trust. But the staying is I'm not looking at my circumstance, Joseph. I'm not looking at my antagonist, my antagonist, Joseph, or my circumstance. I'm not looking at the environment that I'm finding myself in, um, Israelites. I'm not focused on the persecution that I'm experiencing. I'm focused on his intent for this message to go forward. Do I get here if I'm not persecuted?
Mm.
Do I get to Egypt if my brothers don't wrong me? Do I get to this person in the? I even think about another story that's in the same vein is the story of Peter, not Peter, Paul,
Mhm.
where he was preaching and it had a woman possessed by a demon who was prophesying around him and antagonizing him while he was preaching, right? And she wouldn't let up to Paul
So
to.
she's like, these are servants of the Most High or something, and she kept.
She kept harassing them. Then Paul cast the demon out of the lady, and the people for whom she belonged was upset because that demon was making them money
Yeah, because they were like
because he was
soothsayers.
Oh
able.
yeah, yeah.
So he ended up in jail
Mm-hmm.
because of it, right?
Yep.
Then the angel come to bring them out of jail, and he decided he's going to stay. And it's in that stay that he meet the jailer, and the jailer and his whole
Full
family get
house.
saved.
Wow. And
You think God wasn't counting on Paul cussing out that lady? Did she come on her own, or did God send the lady? Or was God at work in that circumstance? Was God in at work in that circumstance for the jailer's benefit, for Paul's benefit?
mhm.
That's the kind of perspective adjustment that I am starting to lean towards in viewing my circumstances, because that's Joseph as the children of Israel, that's Acts. The gospel don't spread if they don't get persecuted. Or let me say it another way. Maybe the gospel spreads if they don't get persecuted. Maybe. Likely. God could find another way.
Yeah.
But how did God advance the gospel? Through
Persecution.
their persecution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like even when we look at text that says something like, and God hardens Pharaoh's heart. And again, in the original imagery, it's not that God is, sprinkling pixie dust on Pharaoh to get him to act a particular way, but he's allowing for the knee-jerk reactions that he knows are gonna come. So like Pharaoh was considered the God king, right? And then he was considered the owner of everything living and dead. So if you send somebody to him, and actually this is the second thing I wanted to touch on, but if you send somebody to him who says another God is telling you to let his thing go, you already triggered because it's like A, I am God, and B, I own everything. So how is somebody else trying to divvy up rights to what I own, right? And my response to that will be,
I have to maintain this. I have to demonstrate that I am this.
yeah, I am the man. You can't come around me. And what's interesting to me is, so Moses spent 40 years in Egypt, kills a guy, goes into the wilderness where he's tending sheep, and God knows, it's helpful to learn how to manage sheep if you're gonna try and lead people out of bondage, right?
Hey,
Another 40 years, and then comes back to Egypt to bring the people out, right? Third batch of 40 years. In spite of all of that, though, or despite that, whatever is the correct English, you realize the first time Moses goes to Pharaoh, how timid he is.
yes.
And it's almost like, Mr. Pharaoh, I really appreciate if you let these people go so this God here doesn't, punish me. But then, like 6, 7 plagues in, he's now, his shoulders are squared. And he's like, how long are you going to defy the word of the living God? All of us. So even the whole story, plagues and everything, it was also to strengthen Moses.
Correct. That's when, even God threatening his life and making his wife have to step in because she was going on and threatening the whole scene.
Yeah.
He working everybody.
Yeah.
When he said Moses didn't want to go, he's like, I chosen you. You're the one I'm sending. And I'm sending you at the time where this guy is king because he will serve my purpose.
I know we're talking about this, and it makes sense, and you know what the right thing is, but I do really relate to Israel because it's like, if there are things I'm going through now, and they are, and I'm like, and they are sorry, and I'm like, I'm hearing what needs to happen, but still like, is there another way by any chance?
So this is where I want to tie it in now. I'm glad that you say that because that's where I feel we could tie the bow on it.
Mm-hmm.
What I have written here is when we give undue attention to the antagonist in our story and take our eyes off the presence and working of God, we deprive ourselves of the peace that he promises and we step out of alignment with his efforts. The 2 verses on peace go like this. He will keep in perfect peace whose minds is stayed on him because they trust him.
Right.
So to get that peace, you got to give your attention on him. And that attention has to be rooted in trust. So I'm giving my attention to him in the wilderness to provide for what I need because I trust him. Now in the wilderness, I'm not fazed when there's no water. I'm not fazed when there's no food, particularly if I wake up in the morning, there's food on the ground, right? Because I trust him to care for me. Joseph gets to that place where I'm not fazed when I'm unfairly and unjustly put in prison because I trust him. And then he doesn't get rescued for 2 years. So he has to just sit and trust him. Yeah. And he has to trust him because, and this is part that blew my mind, the writer is intent on saying in both of them 2 unfortunate circumstances, but God was with him. God blessed him where he was. Yeah. Focus on that. God is with me and he's blessing me here. He's doing something. Trust him. He's still with me. Trust him. He's working on me. What does he need from me right now? Trust him to do that. The next verse is Philippians chapter 4. I want to get be anxious for nothing. And everything with prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Make your requests known before God. And the peace of God, which transcends understanding, will guide the hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. So there's making your request known. Hey, I need this, I want this. With prayer and supplication. What does supplication mean? Let's see if we can get that right quick. Because I didn't like that word either.
Okay.
Earnest, always like
humble, right? Earnest, and deeply respectful prayer or entreat for request, mercy, or favor. So it's a posture. Supplication is posture, is trust. Because if you're humble, humble and earnest, it's subordinating yourself and what you want. So you're making a request known, but you're doing it. You're not doing it in a demanded. I deserve this. Give it to me right now. It's more of an acknowledgement of You hold the power. You can do this. But here's the next part. With Thanksgiving, when
So
I'm
it's
in
not about the outcome. It can't be about the outcome.
with Thanksgiving is for what happened already.
Mhm.
Thanksgiving and gratitude is for things that you can perceive that are either happening or have happened. And probably you could thank in advance too, I'm sure. Praise him in advance, I guess. But a posture of thanksgiving is a reflective posture. To be thankful, you have to be reflective almost by default.
Mhm.
That reflection of thanksgiving, that posture of humility and thanksgiving is what creates the peace. Because the thanksgiving reminds you of what you are, reminds you of what he's done already, how he's already presented himself, what he's already promised, what he's already provided. There's that reminder. He did this once before, he could do it again. He did it for whoever, you know. Or my clothes have not worn out. I'm still in the wilderness, but my clothes haven't worn out.
Yep.
My shoes, my feet have not swollen. That's Thanksgiving. It's being rooted and grounded in his presence. He's blessing me here. Joseph, these people are coming to know him in spite of the persecution. Acts. We're not in Egypt anymore.
Mhm.
That's Thanksgiving. Yo, it's a wilderness, nothing ain't gonna grow, but we eating every day. Right?
Mhm.
So Thanksgiving requires you to be aware of what it forces you to start thinking and looking at. And that ushers in peace. Peace of mind.
Yeah.
And so, that focus on him gets expanded to what does it mean to focus on him? Well, humble, supplication, gratitude. You're giving attention to him and what he's doing and where he is and what's happening. And when you give your attention to that, you start to relax and peace. That doesn't make sense because it says it transcends understanding. I should not be peaceful while being persecuted, and sent away from my home. That's not normal to have peace. But I only have that peace because I trust him. I'm focused on him, and I'm focused on him by being grateful in the moment for what I see him doing and providing, having that awareness, and staying in a posture of supplication, humility, as I make my request known.
Hmm.
So yeah, when we take our eyes off of him and what he's doing and focus on our antagonists and our circumstances, we deny ourselves peace. And then we become rebellious because now we need to take control and fix the situation ourselves.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know what that triggered? You remember when Christ said, "The tempter comes and finds nothing in me."
Mm.
He is so submitted to and reliant on the Father, that relationship with the Father, that there's nothing the devil can bring to him to trigger him to take things into his own hands and try to solve it for himself. Nothing to cause him to rebel.
Yeah, well, I don't know because he had a hard time up until he died, right?
Yeah, no, it was a struggle. Don't get me wrong, but he had, it's like we don't keep ourselves in such a close relationship with God that we could avoid being triggered. We might be tempted to. I feel like we'll be tempted to, and we will leave. We wouldn't pop a fight like he did because I need to take this into my own hands, and I think that's where that wanting to do things your way, take things into your own hands, is what leads to the sinful acts. That decision to rebel in one way or another is what could lead you down the slippery slope.
I'm gonna only add a little piece onto that.
Sure.
It's the emphasis on outcomes over the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because in a human relationship, we don't emphasize outcomes as much as we emphasize dynamics, relational dynamics. Like, with a wife or a girlfriend, it's not always about the outcomes, but it's about you believe in me, you trusted me, us being in this thing. Um, it's I'm gonna go back to, I love this illustration from Kenrick. For Jewel, it's not about whether you put the towel on the bed or not. It's not about the wet towel on the bed. It's about your regard for me and how I feel about the wet towel on the bed.
Yep.
We don't have that same kind of regard with God. We think about the towel on the bed and the outcome. We think he cares about the outcome. And he's doing the same thing that Jewel is saying. It's, what do you feel about me by putting the towel on the bed?
Hmm.
And so when we try to take control of circumstances, we want to make the situation go away. We want to fix it. Go back to Eve, right? God said, they eat of it, you'll surely die. However, Adam communicated that. Eve said to the serpent, don't even touch it because you'll die, right? So Eve's idea of the day you eat of it, you will surely die is that this thing's so dangerous that even touching it will kill you, right? So when she realized, wait, this food not poisonous, it's not dangerous to touch, it's good for food.
It's good to
I
look
could
at.
touch it and eat it and live and get wise. Something not right here, let me try. Outcomes, right? What it is I want out of this, not relationship. Jesus was not in outcomes. Jesus was, this is what you want, this is what I will do. Because I care about you and what you want. We understand that in human relationships. Somehow it don't translate to God. Somehow when it comes to God, it don't translate. We understand that with our children, we understand with our parents, we understand with our friends, with our co-workers. Somehow we God, it don't equate. And so we still frame it in all these spiritual jargon things and not in the where Jesus was. Yet not my will, but thy will be done. This is very uncomfortable. This is painful. Make it stop. Yet that's relational.
Hmm. That just remind me of was reading Luke. I guess you would say the Sermon on the Plains. And when you were talking about Joseph, I was thinking about that part about how his brothers were thinking, all right, dad's gone now, the buffer is gone. Like he could come and really probably come take revenge for real. Maybe he extended grace because of Pops. And when I say the Sermon in the Plains, and this is was this like chapter 6, but just again, just similar to the regular Sermon on the Mount, just talking about you know being like when people hate you and they have nothing to do with you, they say bad things about you, they treat your name or so, so it's just like it's telling you not to actually repay them those type of ways. It's like you're just
Mhm.
telling them to be a blessing to them. So those are the things that are, again, you're talking about because of your relationship with God, you would think that way. But same stuff. Slap you on the cheek, you want to let them slap your other cheek. They curse you and talk bad about you, but pray for them. um, um, it's interesting. It's just like you're going to give someone probably even if someone couldn't give to you, or if this is your last, like give it to them. Like Um, it's just interesting, man. It's just an interesting posture, as you said, to take.
Yeah.
Um, because as humanly, I'm thinking, yo, God, how you gonna let them do that to me? Like, come on.
You know,
And you want me to just shut up and take it? Really?
Yeah. It's like
I know,
what?
you know, we good at quoting scripture, right? We like to quote scripture to God. You know,
Hmm.
things will happen to some of you like, but Lord, you said in your word, 1,000 will fall at my side and 10,000 at my right
Right.
hand. What? Right?
Right.
Man. And hey, I'm raising my hand as being guilty of that, right?
Right.
Yeah. How to
Oh,
make that shift is the question, though. It's just how to get to that place of relational trust.
mm. It's almost like asking God for patience, right? The only way to get to patience is to have your patience tried,
Hey.
which we don't like to hear and we don't like to experience, but there are places I've gotten to with God and I only got there because, yeah, it was tried.
But then it's like what you talked about earlier, Jared. It's like, all right, how do you take yourself out of those situations and try to think about the down the line figuratively? I don't know if it will happen this way. Oh, this person calls himself a follower of God, and this is how they reacted. Or I don't know if it's the person that's directly offending you, or maybe it's the peanut gallery. Maybe somebody else notices, and that is something that would strengthen them, or to make them be like, man, what kind of relationship with God did they have, like, or
Hmm.
something like that. But I'm not, what I mean, like, I'm not thinking about that in that moment, like something that could be happening. This could be beneficial to somebody else somewhere.
And
Somebody's watching this.
yeah. Now that almost becomes a hindsight reflection. Oh, that's what he was doing. But I think
Right.
in the moment, we just had to, that's what you want. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know what it is you're working on, or why it is you're doing this. Maybe it's just for me.
Right.
maybe I'm the only person this is for.
Right.
But it's that trust. You know, it's knowing that God is sovereign. I think that's where it comes. Knowing that God is sovereign and we're trusting in His sovereignty. That if He say, "Go here, do that, don't do this," okay. Don't know why, but okay.
Yeah.
You allow this. Why am I in this jail? I don't deserve to be here. I didn't do nothing.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's nice that all these people are getting helped. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice that all
Awesome.
these people are coming to go Jesus, but I don't
Like,
I
Yeah.
don't deserve to be here.
right. Yeah.
Rescue me, please.
Yeah.
Don't leave me down here.
Man. Nah, man. Mm.
I think I saw this message echoed a little bit in Exodus 23. Exodus 23, verse 29 and 30. This is the one, Jerry.
29 and 30.
We'll start with 27 because I had a thing about 27 too. So I'm gonna read all of it and we'll add all of it together.
Okay. I will send my terror ahead of you. I will throw every nation you meet into a panic. I will make all your enemies turn their backs and run away. I will send hornets ahead of you. They will drive the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way. But I will not drive them out in just 1 year. If I did, the land would be deserted. There would be too many wild animals for you. I will drive them out ahead of you little by little, and I will do that until there are enough of you to take control of the land.
Mhm. First of all, God does terrorize people. I thought God's spirit is a spirit of peace. God intentionally terrorizing people. That's what that scripture just said.
Hey,
I mean,
Terrorizing people.
it's like how people receive it, right? That's just like you have you ever been around people who tell you things like, why are you judging them? And you're like, could you just, tell me something I said or did that made you feel judged? And there's nothing you're actually saying or doing. They just know the standard you hold yourself to. Once you are wrong, they feel, so you ain't doing them nothing, but they feel terrorized, right?
Yeah, but he said, I will send my terror ahead of you.
Mhm.
I will throw every nation you meet into panic. Me, I'm doing that. So the point I want to make is if we stay that God is sovereign, He's orchestrating and guiding or allowing because He's sovereign over everything.
Right.
And so all the things we are experiencing has to filter through Him in some form or fashion,
mm,
either for allowance or blocking.
yeah.
Right? That I guess that was the point that I extracted out of this. He's the one engaged.
The prescriptive or the permissive will, right? One or the other.
Right.
Either way, he's involved because he's saying, "I am doing this,"
Yeah.
and that's what Joseph landed on. You planned it. You intended to harm me. God planned it for good,
Mhm.
which means that God counted on, leveraged, took advantage of your intent to do me. Oh, you all have that plan? Yeah, I could use that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Allow it. Go ahead. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
He said there'll be too many wild animals for me, so they're gonna help. I'm gonna let them help clear that out for you too. Like,
Right? If I come and I just wipe everybody out, what will happen? Them animals will come in and now you have a whole different problem that's less manageable
yeah,
and more
yeah.
scary.
Hmm.
And he said the same thing about taking them into the desert. We could go up the street here 2 weeks, or we could go around the other way. But if we go up the street here 2 weeks, it's war. Then people will fight you.
And you ain't even ready for that war.
We
Yeah.
ain't ready for war. So we'll go around back here. This easier than that.
Hmm.
I know where you are, and I know you're not ready for that.
Hmm.
So here what? I'm only give you a little bit of relief, not full relief, because these people protecting you. Imagine that. The problems that you have serving as a protection. I won't drive them out in 1 year. I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave them little by little. I'm gonna do it a little at a time. Because they're serving as a barrier of protection, just like the wilderness.
Mhm.
Again, perspective. That he's the one in charge, coordinating, managing, overseeing, however you want to use them words. They can't sell you into Egypt on their own.
Mm.
They can't lie on you to the husband and get you thrown in jail on their own.
Ah. That part said, like we said, like who's in control. So he tries. I'm telling you, I'm in control of everything. Like,
So yes, your brother sell you into slavery. Yes,
It's unfair in everything, but
yes, it was unfair, and I could deal with them for that. But right now, this is what I needed to do to get you all right.
but they got to know how I feel to get thrown in the pit too. For the one time.
let them learn today, right?
Word. So
Wow.
they know how I feel to be sold? Like, come on, let me sell you for a couple coins.
They did. You watch them later on
Yeah.
when they show up for the grain. Whatever experience they had
Mm-hmm.
afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
God deal with them,
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time they show up to Joseph, they were not the same guys,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right? God work on Joseph and God work on them.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And he had to have been working on Joseph in order to work on them. Because who knows what the interaction would have been like if he didn't get sold into slavery all of that and he was still there with his little arrogance and you're gonna bow down to me and yeah. Who knows
Oh,
what that might have
see.
looked like.
Yeah.
And in this time where, well, look how the tables turn. All they come begging for me for food.
Yeah.
Well, look what God has done.
Look what
How
God
you've
did.
given you into my hands. Well, we'll
Mhm.
deal with that. And he could have tortured them, terrorized them.
Yep.
And had he been let out of jail 2 years earlier,
Mhm.
like likely that would happen. Because you hear what he said when he said to them, please let me out. He was still toting them feelings.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's still in his fields. Man.
He didn't settle into this is God doing, and I'm okay with it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But this whole I'm doing it like this because if I didn't, this will happen to you. You're like, God, you could just fix it.
Yeah.
You could just.
Yeah.
God's like, nah, if I do that, you'll have more problems. Way
Right.
more problems. And so the wilderness becomes a safe place.
I mean, that's true. I mean, we was reading, the Gospel of Luke this past, like, for the last month, and every time you see Jesus, that's where you retreat to after to go pray. They say they called John the Baptist out. He was in the wilderness, in the desert, like, you know. Uh, so something about the wilderness, for sure.
Now, if you think the wilderness is a safe place, when you go out there and you encounter snakes and things, don't you have a different interaction in the wilderness if you consider it the safe place?
I think so.
Or if you just see it as a wilderness?
Mm,
You
mm,
think an oasis is a safe place. He's saying the wilderness is a safe place.
yeah.
Now, what are the dangers? The danger is self-reliance. The danger
100%.
is comfort.
Oh,
And instead of focusing on the relationship, you will start to just focus on this outcome, the comfort, the whatever, right? And not
Circumstances for good or for evil. That's what you focus. That's what we focus on.
yeah.
We ain't focus on relationship.
Nah.
And the dangers to relationship are self-reliance, comfort.
I was looking at a sermon by one of Frederick's buddies, Jason O'Rourke, Dr.
Mhm.
Jason O'Rourke. And he was saying the thing with sin, the problem with sin is it wants you to focus on sin. Either the fact that sin is beating you or the fact that you're deluding yourself into thinking you've beaten sin. Either way, you're not focusing on Christ or your relationship with him, you're focusing on this sin.
Keeps coming back to that. Where you putting your attention on? Where is your attention?
Mm.
Some good stuff, man.
So what are the concerns of God? Because that's what Peter said, Jesus says to Peter, right? Peter said, no, you don't have to die. Die for what? What are you talking about? Die? No. He's like, no, this is the plan. that suffering is the plan. That's the plan. What is the concern of God? Relationship. The only way to receive the relationship is for me to die.
Yep. So
Oh,
guess what? To the cross it is, right?
To the cross it is.
wow.
That's crazy.
Relationships over outcome.
It's another good one for a t-shirt.
Relationship over outcome. Relationship over circumstance.
Mm.
I'm gonna write it down.
One time, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where faith becomes situated, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They become situated there in that relationship.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. We cut through 1, 2, 3 of mine. I wanted to ask a simple question so we can move to our next topic here as a whole nother. All of those were interrelated, so this is now the next one. Exodus 24:13. You know, sometimes we think about these Bible characters and think, oh my God, he just had great faith. He was just so, how can I be like him? And then you read these verses and you go, wait, but wait. All this time, but wait.
Shoot.
Exodus 24:13.
All right. 24:13.
Oh, no, 12 and 13.
All right. 12 and 13. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain. Stay here. I'll give you the stone tablets. They contain the law and commandments I have written to teach the people." Then Moses and Joshua, his helpers, started out. Moses went up on the mountain of God.
I pause. Moses and Joshua go up. Does Moses drop off Joshua? Or does it read like Moses and Joshua went up with Moses?
Mm,
What's your version say, Jerry?
stay. Yeah.
I didn't realize I was on mute. Sorry. Give me again. I'll probably just put it up
Exodus 24:13.
in NIV. 24:13, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Then Moses set out with Joshua, his aide, and Moses went up on the mountain of God.
So they went up. So Joshua was there the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Seems simple.
So Joshua's faithful. Joshua's faithfulness wasn't just right. He went up with Moses and saw all of this and experienced all of that. That would put you in a whole different headspace, right? Joshua didn't just magically walk into. He was there shadowing Moses the whole time.
And I guess he would have been able to relay that to Caleb in a way that, because it was just him and Caleb that made it in, right? From the original.
Correct. Correct. So Joshua's commitment to God was from being present there with Moses the whole time. Because the way it's written here, it seems like Joshua has been his aide the whole time, or maybe even recently become his aide. But early on in, because this is Exodus 24, so this had to be just shortly after he's given the law. This is still at Sinai, or calling him up to get the thing. Is that from the very beginning, Joshua is a part of this whole thing?
What's funny is I've read this and never really picked up on that. It's like kind of how we read the story of Adam and Eve, and then when it says, and she gave it to her husband who was with her.
Why is she, all these sermons we hear about how she's straight, and she should be by her husband's side, and we read it for ourselves, and you go, wait.
Somewhere along the line, he showed up and he did nothing.
He was there.
So you let in the super chain up your wife, and you just stand up there. Like. So I mean, even if she's looking at him, she must think, well, it's all right because he ain't.
Oh, and he's like, I don't want to lose her, so I'm gonna go down with her. Yeah, but that's taking us
Yeah,
away
the point
from.
here is that he
I wanted to
was
point out that Joshua
Yeah.
was there.
in the thick of it.
And he was able to see Moses, his struggle, his triumphs, his weaknesses.
Mm.
Joshua wasn't a random choice to succeed
Yeah.
Moses.
Right.
Which means, which is not which means, but is an important advocate for discipleship and training and teaching. It means that Moses wasn't here doing this by himself, and he was teaching, coaching. At least he had, even if he was implicitly coaching Joshua, he was discipling through experience.
Mm.
All about community again, right? It's not just about you. Yeah.
It's us. So while Moses did go up, he didn't go up necessarily just alone, him alone. It was him and Joshua went.
Mm.
So I thought that was interesting.
Indeed.
What do we add from it today?
What topics I had?
One word that was that you had, what you wrestled with, what bless you, what stood out to you,
Mm.
anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anything really stood out to me. I mean, what you guys are talking about, that helped me personally. I was like, I feel like I was getting preached to. So thanks about
Praise the Lord. Praise the
yeah.
Lord.
Um,
No worries. I have another thing out of Exodus then. Let's shift there. Exodus 17.
said
Because that's where we are. We're in Exodus 17, verse 14.
17, 14. Okay. Um. Okay. Then the Lord said to Moses, "This is something to be remembered. So write it on a scroll. Make sure Joshua knows you have done it. I will completely erase the memory of the Amalekites from the earth."
Man, remember we was talking about Philippians, be anxious for nothing, with
Uh,
gratitude. We so forgetful. So forgetful that God is saying, write it down so you don't forget.
mm,
Gratitude, in order to stay grateful and not become overwhelmed by our circumstance, we need to chronicle
Mhm.
the history of God's goodness, set up monuments, um, have memorials. I mean, He built into the life of the people periodic reminders into their life so that they remained in that posture of faithfulness, of thankfulness. Well, to help them stay in that posture of thankfulness. I don't know if they took advantage of what they were blessed
mhm,
with. I mean, even in Deuteronomy, he says, write these words down, write them on your forehead, write them on your post in your house, tie them on your finger. Remember these words, keep them close to you. You know, it's that humans are forgetful creatures. And so God goes out of his way to encourage us to remember, because remembering keeps us in that posture of supplication and gratitude. So if we want to stay focused, we'll need to document, chronicle, remember.
I heard one of these pastors say the other day, what fear fear isn't caused by the issues we face, it's caused by amnesia. Forgetting the God
Hey,
who has led us thus far.
correct, correct, correct. And that erodes our peace. Remember we talked about peace?
Yeah. Because even like in the Psalms, you will say you'll see them say something about the Lord who's your strength. Now may Israel say, and it's like I gotta remind you, unless it was for the Lord who was on our side.
And that's why, I believe, no, this is just me. I believe that one of the reasons we are meant to bear witness is so that we could share personal experience, but also the forced repetition of the witness is a forced reminder for us, which is a forced posture of supplication and thanksgiving and a blessing to others. So it has dual purpose for me and for them, the witness.
Mhm.
The experience, and then you witness and you testify. So you remember, stay grateful, stay faithful, and others get introduced.
Mm.
That's why we can't stray from witness.
Yeah. And that's the thing,
because it has that
we seem to think witnesses, you touched on this a time that it's not witnessing isn't witnessing about it's less witnessing about something and as much as it is relaying your experience with.
Correct. That leads me to I didn't write it down. I remember seeing it and I didn't write it down. See what happens, Jerry, when you don't write. So listen to me, write it down. Because it came to mind. I remember I was like, oh no, I wrote it. I will be able to no, I don't have it. So now I need to go back and think about it. It was one of these stories that I was reading, and I was like, oh yeah.
Mm. So,
Might have been Acts. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. I know to do better next time. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, gratitude requires documentation. All right. The last thing I had that's not related to this at all is in Exodus 23, verse 5.
23:5. That
Mhm.
is. Suppose you see that the donkey of someone who hates you has fallen down under its load. Then do not leave it there. Be sure you help them with it. What?
Jerry, I want you to read that in your version. Any version other than what Courtney reading.
NIV says, if you see the donkey of someone who hates you fallen down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure you help them with it.
It says enemy as well. I mean, it says hates you
Yeah.
as well. It doesn't say enemy.
Mhm.
Hold on, let me see what it has. That's Genesis 23. 5. No, not Genesis, Exodus. Oh, hated the okay. I was wondering if the translation I had was translating enemy as someone who hates you, because I remember when I looked up the enemy
Mhm.
before, the word enemy before, I saw that it was someone who's opposed against you, not someone not necessarily that you are against.
Mhm.
You know, and so this verse stuck out to me because I remembered that.
Yeah.
You know,
Because there are people who would
because
assign themselves as your enemy, although you haven't done them anything. They might just be threatened by
right,
you, any number of things.
right, and I even think about the idea of enemies of God are the people who hate God, and not necessarily people who God are opposed to. You know, they're His enemies because they choose to be against Him, not because He's against them.
Yeah.
You know, so it almost felt like I was wondering, and so that's why I marked it to explore if enemy is a one-way directional thing towards you and not reciprocal necessarily.
Mm.
A person is your enemy because of their posture towards you, not your posture towards them. You then become responsive to that posture and then treat them a certain way. Maybe now you become their enemy because because of that. But um,
But if we go back to the example of Joseph, he didn't do anything to his brothers, right? They took a posture towards him. No. To your point, if God didn't work out of him his tendencies, he might have gotten out of jail and be like, "Oh yeah, now it's about to pop off, right? I'm gonna do you back, get you back,
mhm,
right?" But I mean, with Christ and the Pharisees, Sadducees is like he ain't done none of them nothing, but was it his blood? How did they put it better? One man died and a whole nation or something.
mhm.
Mm.
Let me see Exodus 4. I had some supporting text for the stuff I was reading before, so I'm just checking them out to see if I Exodus 4:21 to 23. Yeah, we can read it. It kind of gives actual voice to what we were saying about, God's sovereignty in the thing. 21. The Lord spoke to Moses, and Exodus 4:21. The Lord spoke to Moses and said, "When you return, oh, I now remember what it is. I remember what it is. It's not this, but I'm gonna come back to that. It was when the people, when Moses went to the people the first time and talked to them, they were all excited that God had come to rescue them, right? And Moses went to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh said, all they're just trying to get out of the work. You know what I'm gonna
Right.
do? Make your burden
Yep.
heavier."
Mhm.
And the people got so bogged down in their circumstance. Um, see, yes, Genesis, Exodus chapter 5.
Exodus 5,
Exodus 5. We could go from verse 19.
19. The Israelite overseers realized they were in trouble. They knew it when they were told, "Don't reduce the number of bricks you're required to make each day." When they left Pharaoh, they found Moses and Aaron waiting, and they were waiting to meet them. They said to Moses and Aaron, "We want the Lord to look at what you have done. We want Him to judge you for it. We are like a very bad smell to Pharaoh and his officials. You have given them an excuse to kill us with their swords." Moses returned to talk. Oh,
Go on.
yeah,
Mhm.
Moses returned to
Keep
yeah,
going. Keep
Moses
going.
returned and talked to the Lord. He said, "Why, Lord? Why have you brought trouble on these people? Is this why you sent me? I went to Pharaoh to speak to him in your name, and ever since then, he has brought nothing but trouble on these people, and you haven't saved your people at all."
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I just said, Moses returned to talk to the people. He said to them, "Why, Lord, why have you brought trouble on these people? Is this why you sent me? I went to Pharaoh to speak to him in your name. Ever since then, he has brought nothing but trouble on these people, and you haven't saved your people at all."
Yeah. Now, verse 1.
Oh, the next. Oh, my bad. Give
6
me.
1. 6 1. You just keep
Yeah,
reading.
yeah, yeah. I'm about to switch to next chapter. Give me 1 second. All right. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh because of my powerful hand. He will let the people of Israel go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of his country." God continued, "I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as the mighty God, but I did not show them the full meaning of my name, the Lord. I also made my covenant with them. I promised to give them the land of Canaan. That is where they lived as outsiders. Also, I have heard the groans of the Israelites. The Egyptians are keeping them as slaves, but I have remembered my covenant. So tell the people of Israel, I am the Lord. I will throw off the heavy load the Egyptians have put on your shoulders. I will set you free from being slaves to them. I will reach out my arm and save you with a mighty acts when I judge Egypt. I will take you to be my own people. I will be your God. I will throw off the load the Egyptians have put on your shoulders. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. I will bring you to the land I promised to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I lifted up my hand and promised it to them. The land will belong to you. I am the Lord. Moses reported these things to the Israelites, but they didn't listen to him. That's because they had lost all hope and had to work very hard. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go tell Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to let the people of Israel leave his country." But Moses said to the Lord, "The people won't listen to me, so why would Pharaoh listen to me? After all, I don't speak very well."
Man, so much in there. So much in there. But the first thing I wanted to point out is everybody's overwhelmed by what they're experiencing, and nobody's really giving God any credence for his plan or for his promise. And it kind of makes sense because they don't really know him like that. You know, they, at this point they don't really know him. So it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
But it shows how, you know, if his if his if his words not giving us the immediate action and relief for our circumstance that we desire, we don't pay him no real mind.
Yeah.
And
Because it's
he's
like it
only
got
as
immediately
valuable
worse.
to us. Huh?
It got immediately worse. Like that first interaction, it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to do more work. Go find your own straw to make the brick, but make sure it's the same amount. Yeah,
Now, mind you, God said that's
What
part of the
deliverance
plan from
looks
the
like,
beginning,
right?
right? Hmm?
It's not what deliverance looks in their mind, what deliverance looks
nah,
like.
They only concern about them. As
Mhm.
yeah.
God has been explaining, I have this bigger plan for you, for Egypt, for everybody. And the plan has steps, is a process, and I'm being faithful to the process.
The process can't be skipped, right?
They said we got to do more work. If we don't do deliver, they gonna beat us. They gonna probably kill us. Who knows? It's like
As part of the plan, you want to lift weight,
that's part of the plan.
you're gonna be sore on the first day. I mean, that's
100%. 100%.
soreness on the first day is part of the plan. You want
Yeah.
abs, you're gonna be sore the day
Mm.
one.
So
You ain't gonna
bet.
just wake up with strength, right? Trying to
Yeah,
bench
work out
press
today and feel all good, and then
300.
wake up tomorrow,
Mm.
abs, nah.
Yeah.
Man.
they all on their Ozempic, right? Let me just get some shots. I'm good.
Even that, you had to sleep the night and wake up the next morning. Because this is what he said. Why have you brought trouble on these people? Like you send me to go these people, and now it's worse. Now I
Yeah.
don't even know if to trust you, right?
Right.
God said, now you will see. We just know that's what I was talking about. Yeah, we here now. Yeah. Let's get this thing started, right?
Oh,
Let's show
Yeah.
you what's about to go down. Yeah. Look,
Right.
and then go on and
Just like just
go
like
on and
Jerome said, just like, all right, I knew he was gonna say no. Said, all right, cool.
right, we good. Plan working.
Right, right.
But watch the relational language, right? He was in covenant with them and he promised to give them the thing. So I'm a man, I'm a good to my word. Right? I promised them I would give them the thing, and now I'm about to do it for you. Right? I just need you to trust me. And here's what he said. They didn't even know me by the name that I'm giving you. I should show you how special you are. Right? He's giving them that relational thing to kind of give them reassurance. He said, they know me one way. I've come to you in a whole different way. Verse 2. I didn't show them by my fully name. I given that to you. You know, you should feel special. And they're like, yeah, whatever. yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Because when he said, I promised them the land, and then they were living there, but they were outsiders then. So now he's like, no, I'm giving it to you. Like, this is going to be yours. Like, you're not going to be living out on the outskirts. They was living like nomads, really, basically, like living
And they're
in
like,
tents.
nah,
He said, nah, it's different this time. They said, yeah, all right.
that's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice. But tomorrow I had to get up and find straw.
Exactly. Exactly.
Even Moses was like, what is going on?
Right.
And so, yeah, one of the reasons I pointed this out was to show how much our focus on our circumstance impacts the way that we interact with God. We're not
For
focused
sure.
on Him. We're overwhelmed by our circumstance, our desire to change our circumstance, and not to grow in relationship with Him, which is what He's trying to do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our focus is outcomes and circumstance and not relationship. And until that shifts, we keep cycling through. And Jerry, that's where you started, right? They keep going through the cycle because they're not really here for the relationship. They're here for the outcomes, the benefits of the relationship, but not for the relationship itself.
What was the word, Jared? Is scope to know and be fully known, which is
Experiential
what God
knowing.
is all about, right?
Mhm.
But we are just like, so what are the fringe benefits of this being known? What's in it for me?
Absolutely. Well, you'll be my God. Cool. That means I'll get stuff. Nice.
Right.
Hopefully free stuff.
Yeah. So I don't have to be a slave.
That's
to
what
God.
God's don't charge you.
Yeah.
They're responsible to carry the bill, to foot the bill, right? That's their
Okay, let
responsibility.
your boy hold something, hook me up. Right, good.
What was I for? 21 to 23. Yeah, so that's where I could go back to 421 now. 421. The Lord spoke to Moses. He said, when you return to Egypt, do all the amazing things I've given you by the power, giving the power to do. Do them in the sight of Pharaoh. But, and as I tell you, he tell Moses even before he left, right? He tell him before he left, but I will make him stubborn and he will not let the people go. So why was Moses surprised when he reached and the work got harder, right?
Yeah. Because your relationship isn't at the place of maturity yet where you realize if he said it, he will do it.
Right. And that all of this is part of the plan. I have chosen this guy because he will do what I need to get y'all to believe me, to establish this thing in history, to message everybody else. Like I have this bigger play that I'm leveraging this salvation of you to accomplish.
Yeah.
This is a huge moment in history, and I need this guy, this antagonist in this story. That's why it's been 400 years, because I waited on this guy. Well, I was also waiting on the Amorites, but he's perfect for this. Just like
Yeah.
Joseph's brothers were, just like Potiphar's wife was. You know, all of a sudden, Jeremiah, the potter and the clay, who are you to say the potter say some for special use, some for refuge. I'm molding all of these, and you know, it just made more meaning to me now. Just seeing the sovereignty of God in these stories, making him the central character, and um, keeping the focus on his activity changes the dynamic, the significance, the impact of the players in the story for me.
100%.
It makes me think about when they say the word like what's the concept of time. Like, how's that apply with God really? Like, what's a year to him? Like, what's like we sitting out here dying like, yo, 400 years,
Come on, bro. And he's like,
and that's and people not even one individual lives 400 years anymore. So it's like, come on now, like,
You know, Courtney, I'm glad you say that, because that reinforces to me that whole idea of his covenant is with the people and not with the persons, right?
yeah.
yeah,
Because there are people who lived and died in slavery.
yeah.
And wait now, all of them lived and died in the wilderness. So it's like, where is this deliverance? Where is this promised land?
It's to the
Kids got it though,
people.
because he was stubborn and stiff-necked.
Yeah. To the people, not to the persons.
Mm.
And so because he's, working in that sphere, a few people live and die, yeah.
That's what it
Have
seems
other
like.
things going on,
Man.
just, yeah.
Crazy.
All right, we had 9:53. I think I've exhausted all the things I recorded as being interesting to me.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, I don't think I had.
Oh, I have one more. It's small and it's not as significant. It's more about interesting. Exodus 23:17 and 19. Exodus 23:17 and 19.
Okay.
Go ahead.
3 times a year, all your men must come to worship me. I am the Lord and King. Skip 18 or read 18 too?
Maybe skip it at 19.
All right. And then 19, bring the best of the first share of your crops to my house. I am the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk.
So what stood out to me is, I am your Lord and King. I am the Lord your God. And that phrase this way in this version, it's made me think about when God said to Samuel, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me as king. I never recognized that he described himself as their king before. But here, very early in the story, he establishes that I am your king. I never actually saw it explicitly before. I never paid attention to it. I understood it because we talked about it there, that they should have seen it. But here's this explicit reference to this idea that I am your king, which means, this centralized authority that humans keep wanting to have over themselves, centralizing around a figure. God is not really, that's not really his intended system, because he's that figure, and he will pull in. This is why when they went into which would appear I'm going to say that very clearly. It appears that when they went into the land, they didn't have that centralized authority, and it was a judge today and a judge tomorrow, and everybody it was decentralized, organized, because he's the king. And when we want to have centralized authority, we're rejecting his authority as king, which then gives a whole new flavor to the reign of God, the kingdom of God in the New Testament, where God becomes king. Because that's the good news, is that God has, become king again, or is, established himself firmly as king without
Mm,
dispute, or
mm,
um, without a vassal king per se. He does have a vassal king now, but it's a king that he puts on the same level with him in Jesus, and so it was significant to hear him say that and establish himself like that from up front.
mm.
I'm that guy. I'm the king. It wasn't inferred. It wasn't implicit. It was explicitly, communicated, and I never noticed it there before. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I flagged it. Like, I don't know if you all have seen it before, but I never noticed it before.
No, I haven't. That's good. Mm.
Cool, cool. We are 9:57, which means that we are at the moment of. We talked a lot. We talked about a number of things. What are we going home with tonight? What are we taking away? Um, go around and give our takeaways. And if you're in the chat and we're following along, I'd be interested to hear what your takeaways are as well. So Courtney, I'm gonna start with you, and then I'm gonna come up to Jerry and come back around.
All right, man. What I'm taking away from this discussion is um, definitely surrounding that. I guess all those topics that were sort of all kind of connected. Where um, I'd say that we were talking about relationship with our relationship with God is paramount. Like he's wanting to have a certain relationship with us, his people, but like individually as well. And I think that is, as you pointed out, that comes before any of the outcomes of things, and it's like there was a part that you mentioned that I never really thought about, but you're just talking about um, how self-reliance and comfort pose these like threats to that relationship.
Mhm.
And you know, it's like you're sitting out here relying on your own strength. Um, it's like you're moving from relying on divine strength to like our human effort.
Mhm.
And shoot, you just talked about the king, like, oh, they wanted a king that they could, that's like the same thing. Like, okay, um, and then we're talking about comfort. Like, comfort is going to, um, it can lead us to having like forgetting the need for God,
Mhm.
um, or even seeking like kind of man-made security over that's not rooted in God. So there's just like so much in that alone that I could see. Like I never thought about that, but yeah, like so yeah. Now I see why he's talking about going to taking us to the wilderness. He's trying to take us away from that. So that's my takeaway.
That's what's up. How about you, Jerry?
Ooh, man, there could be so many.
Word.
I think, but just based on some things I'm going through now, accepting that, may not be fair, they're plotting again, whatever. He will. It's part of his plan. May not always know what that plan is in the moment, but I just have to trust. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's part of his plan. He's not saying they go into prison, they whatever isn't unfair. He isn't saying people. It's part of the plan. Sheesh.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That kind of helps me with my takeaway because there's a lot that we were discussing.
Mhm.
But my takeaway is a version of that. From my life, I have seen where you have things God has allowed and things that He's blocked. He's saying that that's not going to happen here today, and then some other things He don't say anything. He just let it rock. And there've been some things I'd be like, why did you allow that? Can we have done something else?
Yeah.
And I have been hung up on many of those things for a while, and I am this week and this go round in this material. It has allowed me to shed that and sit in the space of, or start because I haven't gotten it yet, but now I'm more intent to begin sitting in a space of gratitude and looking around and going, my shoes haven't worn out, my clothes haven't worn out.
Mm.
Do I get here without that? If He allowed it, then am I okay with it? And is His presence enough? Yes, it needs to be. I remember we wrestled that before. I think His presence is enough. It needs to be enough now. It needs to be enough because the emphasis is the relationship.
Yeah.
Not my circumstance. My relationship transcends my circumstance.
Yeah.
So that's what I am. That's what I'm working with.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything in the chat, so I will have us go ahead and pray. Jerry, I ask you to lean into all that discipleship your Father has poured into you.
Wow, buddy. Siri was trying to get involved in the conversation. That's hilarious. Yeah, already. Let's pray. Father God, we are called to really trust that you see us as your children and that you relate to us with loving kindness. And so we ask that you would help us with our amnesia, that you help us to memorialize, to recount, to recall, to remember all the ways you have led us and looked out for us, so that even as we face situations that may not seem to make sense to us in the moment, we know that you are still working it out for our good, not just our individual good, but our collective good, and for the glory of your name. Give us the recall, retention, but also give us the strength to deal with the middle. We're not where we were, we're not quite where you want us to be or who you want us to be. Give us the strength to deal with the middle, is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen. Teach me, Jerry. Teach me. We are on we are on every first and third Friday, except that next third Friday we probably are not going to be on. My littlest one turns 8 on that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to give him a little, undivided attention because this is prime hours for celebrating that.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
we're going to be off on the 20th.
Okay.
And then the next time we'll probably get together again is on the first Friday in March.
Yep.
So enjoy a little bit of a break. Looking forward to all the good conversation that comes from that. appreciate all of you for the engagement today. And look forward to seeing you when next we come back.
Yes,
So
sir.
we'll get the bishop.
Yes, sir.
Get the bishop's permission slip signed in March.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Until the next one, everybody, have a good one. Drink up.